Modern music sucks. There, I said it. But before we get into the reasons why, be sure to hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, or follow me anywhere I can be found. So, before this whole COVID thing happened, the last concert I went to actually was a stellar Austin blues bass guitarist that I caught here at a local dive bar actually in San Diego. And there's some context to this story. I found this guy years ago. Actually, I was in Austin on business, and I was strolling down 6th Street. I think it was like a Tuesday night. And unfortunately to me, like once the blues capital of the world, the sweet sounds of gritty guitar riffs filling the air that was often a part of a evening stroll in Austin. Well, I just heard typical top 40 BS littering the air. Now, surely years later, I figured this guy would draw one heck of a crowd since he's nothing short of amazing, phenomenal on the guitar. Thanks Stevie Ray Vaughan and meets Jimi Hendrix maybe. So naturally, I was excited to go see this guy here in my local town. So I did as any, music buff would do. I grabbed my drummer buddy and we made sure we showed up at least an hour before the doors opened because I figured, hell, there'd literally be a line down the block. But much to my surprise and dismay, we were the first and only people waiting in line. Okay, well, maybe we just went to the wrong place, I remarked to my friend, and we check our tickets. Nope, it's here. Well, soon enough, a few other folks join us in line. There are now 6 of us in total. Well, eventually the doors open, and now a handful of fans file in. The blues man didn't take long to show up, and from the first guitar lick, I am instantly in auditory heaven. My buddy, who had never seen this act before, was also mesmerized. Bro, he literally strolled on stage and proceeded to completely rock my face off. Now, the fact that no one was there to witness such godlike greatness, it was a bit disappointing. However, I did get to sit front and center, literally inches away from the soon-to-be rock legend. But upon further thought, I still felt a bit saddened that more people weren't there to share in the experience. Sure, I enjoyed the intimacy of viewing my favorite artists up close and personal, but I just couldn't get over the fact that only 6 people showed up. Literally, 6 people. So on the car ride home, my buddy indicated that he was mutually amazed at the lack of turnout, which got us to thinking, why is there such a huge underappreciation for real musicians? Or just in general, why is modern music so bad? Maybe people just prefer being plainly average. I still couldn't explain the experience, so I decided to float some ideas around to answer the ever-itching question. Why is there such an abundance of crappy music in our society? So here are some of my thoughts, in no particular order, on why modern music sucks. 1. Modern music has no soul. The days of running to the record store, spending an entire evening thumbing through dusty milk crates stuffed with vinyl, and the exhilaration of finally setting the stylus for the first time upon your latest find are long gone. Today, marketers decide what consumers will hear and when they will hear it. And hear it they will, everywhere. Ever notice how upon hearing a new song for the first time, it decides to just follow you around everywhere you go? Well, this is no accident. The powers that be literally rape your ears with the latest sacrificial song until you literally can't stand it anymore, or pick up the next piece of canned crap. Sure, artists need to make a buck for the value of enjoyment they add to society, but today the business of music trumps artistry and talent completely. 2, all modern music sounds the same. I like to think that a musician should at least be able to play an instrument, or sing, or do anything that produces a string of sounds that are appealing to the ears. Well, if you're like me, you'd be wrong in modern society. Modern music no longer requires playing instruments, a good sounding singing voice, songwriting skills, a recording studio, or skill in general. Here's the recipe to create every modern music hit you've probably heard in the last 10 years. First, you need pre-selected beats that drive all modern music. Second, modern music uses the same 4 chords and oftentimes in the same chord progression. 3, a single man who writes most of the lyrics of most modern pop music. And then even for certain genres like country that, you'd think would be immune to this type of encroachment of crap upon the modern music industry, you need a clap track. And yes, the clap track has even come for country. If you don't believe me, you can actually take a lot of the country songs that have come out over the last few years, mash them up, and literally create the same song. And people have actually done this for us. So I'll go ahead and include some videos that demonstrate that in the description if you want to check that out. So musical mediocrity has completely infected our society, and it's taking zero prisoners. Today's commercially produced pop stars, well, they don't even play their own instruments or have basic knowledge of any sort of music theory. The third reason why modern music just tends to kind of suck these days is that modern musicians are actually forced to produce subpar music. Now, you may be thinking that all modern musicians are completely untalented, and this is not true. For example, I once saw Lady Gaga live, and let me tell you, once she blasts through all the BS and actually starts to perform, that girl can sing. She has some pipes. Hell, she started playing the piano at a very young age, and I believe was even accepted to Juilliard. Another starlet I typically couldn't stand was Miley Cyrus, but that all changed once I heard her nail Dolly Parton's classic, Jolene. Now, will you ever hear music this good on the radio? Probably not. And why? Simply, when something sounds good, it's hard for people to not stop and listen. Imagine walking through a crowded shopping mall and hearing that cover. You'd forget you're there to mindlessly purchase crap you don't need in the first place. And that's what it is. Really, modern music is just background music or a soundtrack to our autopiloted, automated lives. 4, poor sound quality meets cheap sound equipment. So as a sound quality guy, or some even may say snob, I've experienced the following far too often. And let me paint a picture for you. You could cruise at the top down to a SoCal sunset, enjoying the waves and fresh, salty sea mist. Suddenly, some dipshit with rims worth more than a car and crudely fashioned Bondo-bound quarter panels pulls up next to me. Great, I think to myself, as Henry Hipster revs his 82 horsepower Honda and darts that "I'm cool, dumbass" look in my direction. Me, confused, react just as I would as if I were some idiot driving home drunk. Head just above the steering wheel, body slightly slouched forward, hands 10 and 2, and eyes directly focused dead ahead. Unfortunately, I can't avoid Homeboy's muddy bass as it literally shakes the shit out of both of our cars and drowns out any ambient noise. And this reason, guys, brings us to the loudness war. This is where people think higher volume equals higher sound quality. Many people have actually grown so used to listening to highly compressed digital music on tiny in-ear headphones that they simply don't know any better. With the inability to discern any sense of quality with inferior playback equipment, I can understand why people confuse high volume with high quality. Now, with this being taken into consideration, how do producers respond to the market? Well, they amplify the living hell out of a track, clip out any crisp high notes, muddle the bass, and completely mute the mids. Now that source music sounds like crap, you'd think sound manufacturers would stop there. Nope. Bad sound quality from headphones and stereos. They must also flood the market with audio reproduction devices that sound like crap. Compressed audio, small in-ear headphones, and excessive bass reproduction are all standard. And all of them absolutely brutalize your ears. As a consumer, you're constantly forced to suffer. By default, your YouTube, Spotify, or any other streaming apps will all produce compressed audio, unless you select otherwise in the settings. Even then, this usually isn't enough to undo the damage. My only guess is that music degradation continues because people just don't know any better. I can't tell you how many teens I see wearing $300 Beats headphones, which offer no dynamic range and literally sound like a wet fart. Do not confuse a fashion accessory with a suitable audio playback device. And the last reason, modern music just kind of seems to suck is that people don't actually listen to music anymore. Occasionally, I like to test my friends. When I have company, I'll throw in some classic vinyl led by a female vocalist on my entirely analog 1970s stereo system, then sit back and proceed to say nothing. Before the end of the first song, they're almost always standing in the middle of the living room, staring at a blank wall and actually listening to the music. Pro tip, "this song sounds so much better on vinyl. Let's head back to my place to listen" line works absolute charm. Unfortunately, people of less than average intelligence dominate the market. So music producers and equipment manufacturers, well, they really have no choice but to cater to bland tastes. And people actually buy this slop and think it's great. Now, although I'm a strong proponent of a supply and demand free market, we need to treat modern mediocre music like illegal drugs by waging an all-out war against demand for such poisonous products. And really, there's only one other thing you can do to completely do away with the subpar music that's flooding our airwaves, and that's support good musicians. Really, it's the only way to rid society of bad modern music, is to just stop consuming it. There's still plenty of talent out there, guys. You just kind of have to dig through a pile of crap to find a piece of musical treasure. And once you have found a piece of musical treasure, be sure to support them by seeing your local musicians live. And hell, take it a step further, follow them online. Be sure to share their stuff, sing their praises from a mountaintop. Really, that's the only way to rid the world of crappy modern music, is by supporting actual talent. And when you do this, you are actually indeed doing your part to stop the spread of shitty modern music. So that'll do it for this video. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, or follow me wherever I can be found.